the biomed also.
Oh, I'm not going for the biomed, but I will be in Vegas on May 19th, well, May 20th, for this SOR, Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott.
Oh yes, that's right. That's right. Yeah, I've heard that. I read it actually. I got a notification about it.
Yeah. So I'll be in Vegas there. If you guys are there in Vegas, please connect with me. I'd be very happy to see you guys, and meet up, and maybe we can organize a dinner or something.
No,
Yeah,
Geraldine, I have a question.
yeah, tell me.
Will you be able to find a link maybe, or you can mention where to about the body of water? I know it was talked about a while back, but I don't know if there is just a session devoted to body of water. How you work with the water, to protect yourself. And
How do you use water to protect yourself, you said?
right, yeah, the body of water, like the martial artists use,
Are you talking about the body of glass?
the body of glass. Sorry, yes.
Okay,
that's
yeah,
the body of water. Yes.
Yeah, I can talk
That's what
about
I meant.
that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And also, if you can makes the distinction between the densities and dimensions and timelines, because there's a lot of confusion, as I look at stuff, or listen to, people are confused, even people that talk about it.
Yeah. Okay, we can talk a little bit. I think we talked about that before too. Let's see if we can tune into some of that. Awesome questions. Oh,
Thank
this
you.
YouTube thing doesn't want me to post this. Let's see if we can, I don't know. Okay, if you guys can share, that would be really awesome. I don't know why it's not letting me share here. Anybody else have any questions or topics that they want to focus on today? Marija, welcome from Serbia. So wonderful to see you, beloved soul. Thank you for being here in the YouTube. Let's come over here to the chat on Zoom. Let me see if I missed anything here. May I please have the link ID on Zoom so I can watch it on my laptop? Having some email issues. Sure, let me copy that. Okay. There you go. I put it in the chat. Go ahead and grab it from there. That works. John, hello, you. Hi. Okay, great. All right, my love. So today I have a lot I want to share with you. Jessica, so good to see you. I just got to meet Jessica in person at the conference in San Diego, and it was really, really awesome to be able to hug her and to be with her. And she's just such an amazing soul, amazing, beautiful person. I hope to meet all of you one day. And this year I will try to organize a kind of a gathering of some sort so you and I can connect. I'm also going to be trying to do some retreats because right now I am building an academy with this information where we're going to organize all this information in a way that's really imparts and digestible and easily accessible in a way where people can learn how to apply it in their everyday lives. So that's what I'm working on. And to launch those, we'll be supporting them with group retreats where, as you do the work, you're also meeting together and we're working together in a workshop in the live. So yeah, so that's coming. Please hang in there for that. Doug, great to see you. Angela, hi from Massachusetts. Venusian asks a question. How do we quiet the ego to listen to our higher self around those who operate from their ego 24/7? Right. Okay. Awesome questions. I will get to your questions. Let me jot them down here in our notebook. So let's start with John's first question, who is asking about the body of glass. Okay. Now, I taught this technique maybe a couple years ago when I did the initial GPAC challenge, I believe. And body of glass essentially is learning how to utilize. So in a lot of martial arts, one of the techniques is not so much about combat or affecting or hurting another person. It's about defense. Okay, how do you defend yourself if someone is attacking you? So a lot of the martial artists that are originating from these original practices, like the Tai Chi, Qigong, Tai Chi, are all about the cultivation of life force and the usage, manipulation, conscious manipulation, and redirection of life force. Okay, so in martial artists, the way I learned how to do this energy is I did train in martial arts when I was when I was a child. And it was really beautiful because you really begin to understand how to sense energy when someone directs a force towards you. You feel it in the body, okay? And you feel it because we are in resistance to it. Sometimes the resistance is fear. Sometimes it's uh, uh, um, well, it's actually always fear. But sometimes this fear causes an entire shift in the molecular structure of your body that creates a lack of resistance to a resistance to what you're feeling rather than a resonance. So remember, in physics, when something is oscillating in some vibrational frequency, they match and they begin to move together. But when something is oscillating at a certain frequency and this is not, then there is a clash. There is no resonance between them. So that means, and this is something that we practice in my retreats, working with energy. Usually it's done in pairs. One individual person will be the receiver, the other person will be the giver, okay? And one person stands in front of the other, directing energy at the person. Only they know what part of the body they're directing the energy to. And the easiest one is usually in the shoulder, but the energy will come to the shoulder and the person will begin to feel heat here or a sensation, or they will just have all of their attention go to this part of the body. So what happens is that this is showing us how to train our energetic body. Our bodies are extremely sensitive, but most of the time, because we're in resistance, because we're so tight, we lack the mind-body connection to be able to translate and come into that awareness to even notice what's happening to our physical bodies, okay? So this constant state of lack of awareness makes it very difficult for understand what is true, okay? So in these practices, what I have these individuals do is that one person, the person that is receiving, will then begin to assess their protection. They will begin to activate their field, their force field of energy. They will imagine themselves inside of a sphere and they will make it as thick as glass. And this takes practice. Imagine it like a thick glass or any strong substance. But essentially, an energy that is directed will no longer enter into the energetic space of the person. In fact, it will bounce off. And what happens is that the person giving the energy will give, and they will feel tired. They will feel exhausted very easily because what makes a person kind of feel worthy in what they're doing or is the reaction, okay? Because when we are in a constant state of unconscious state, we depend on cause and effect laws. We are acting as karmic manifestors. We do something, we react unconsciously, and there is a effect to that, whether we're conscious or not. But what happens is that in this dynamic, the person that is acting towards something or directing energy, in order for them to feed, because this is where the whole dynamic of parasites come from. Those that are just reacting to things or angry or trying to get a reaction from someone, usually these initiations of emotions are a profound, deep emptiness that needs to be fulfilled. And if it's not filled by the person, it's going to be fulfilled, or they believe it's going to be fulfilled by someone external, right? So that's the whole parasitic subconscious belief system. So when we fall into those dynamics, this person that's parasite that needs love, for example, and doesn't know how to ask for love, is directing this angry emotion at their partner, okay? And the partner feels the anger, and then they come into resonance with anger, to become anger, and there's no way that love can enter into this dynamic, even though that's really what both of them could really want. So in this energetic field, when one individual begins to own their space, they create the sphere around them, a bubble where they now understand, mind, body, and soul, that everything that they have within their bubble is what they can control. It begins to shift how energy affects them. They no longer are in resonance to the cause and effect of the person giving energy. Let's say that anger in that example. Okay, so it bounces off. And so this is one of the most powerful protections. Again, we go deeper into this conversation every time where we talk about the 0 point. When we enter into the 0 point, we actually become all and nothing. It's a state of unconditional self-love first, compassion awareness, and that vibrational frequency now is so high that the lower frequencies cannot hit, they cannot meet the wall of resistance any longer. So they go right through because it's a different frequency. So in Body of Glass, I need to explain this part to get to this part. Because in Body of Glass, what we're doing is we're beginning to work with our physical body, because most of the body, because it's unconscious, the physical body, most of it is unconscious, we're storing a lot of emotional data in the body. So if somebody directs energy at us, the parts that will wake up consciousness in that moment or come into awareness are the ones that are in resonance with the emotional energy that is being directed towards us. And that's usually what triggers programs of response. Okay, it's all the trauma memories, it's all the defense mechanisms that come into play. So when we begin to kind of shift from that mentality of survival, we now begin to become aware of our emotions, and we're not playing that back and forth game. So we can learn how to master the body over time through meditation. You deprogram these traumas, you release emotional stagnation. And that emotional stagnation that you're releasing from the body lightens your frequency to the point where you're no longer in resonance with that emotional wall that you've become otherwise. So next time that somebody throws energy at you, it goes right through you. Okay. So how we can do this in the body as a technique for protection is that you actually connect with all of the cells, the molecules in your body, and you enter into something called the body of glass, which means that you imagine that your physical body, the density of the physical body of your energy, you are shifting the frequency into a higher octave, which allows you to be more transparent. Okay, so you are changing in a way how energy is existing and expressing in your physical body. So you're going to do that by imagining that your body is invisible. Okay, from your toes, you're going to, it takes practice, but from your toes, you're just going to visualize that they're becoming invisible. All that is left is a signature of energy. Okay, and I want you to explore this and experiment with this, and we'll do it right now. And I want you to share with me what you experienced as you did it. Okay, so you're going to go up into the ankles, into the shins, the calves, the knees, the thighs, going up into the central core of the body, and everything is just going to be invisible, 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 all the way to the crown of the head. And all you're going to see yourself as is a light. You're going to see yourself as a light, which is what you truly are. You are a light. When you begin to see yourself as a light, the way that you hold frequency is completely different. You'll notice it'll be very hard for you to come into anger, very hard to come into strong, strong emotions, out of balance emotions in this state. Okay, and the purpose of this is a cloaking mechanism. This is one of the most powerful cloaking techniques that you can utilize. This is the embodiment of the 0 point with clear intention of navigating in a body of light. And that's exactly what you're coming into. So as you begin, now I will put disclaimers. This is a very powerful practice. Now, when you're in front of another person practicing this technique, and you can do it with your friends, your partners at home if you want to try it out. But what will happen when you go into body of glass, the person in front of you, one moment they won't recognize this because most people aren't aware, but they will feel like they have someone else in the room. Next moment, they're going to feel like they're falling forward because the person in front of you won't even feel like they're there. Okay. And this is a wonderful exercise for you to understand the power of your own magnetic field. But essentially, we literally hold space in a room. Okay, so for example, when I did this with my in my training class, the person in front of me would go into body of glass, and sometimes I would feel like I was falling forward. And then when I opened my eyes, they were still there, but I couldn't quite feel them. Okay, now another example of this that many of you have encountered in your life are what we call wallflowers. You know, those people that kind of just stay in the back of the room, and they kind of disappear into the wall, and you can't really feel them. And it's very, very powerful what they're doing. But anytime that we contract our energetic field, we are also playing in these dynamics of energy contraction. When we go into energy contraction, the field contracts, and therefore there is less of our vibrational frequency that is emitting its presence in a room. And so what that causes essentially is it means that and there's two ways to do this. There's the conscious way where you see yourself as the light, and then there's the unconscious way, but they're all dynamics of energy. Okay. The unconscious way is usually the wallflowers, the ones that don't want to be in their body. So they're floating up here. Okay. So we're floating up here. You don't want to be embodied in your physical body, because when you come into the body, it's too much. You have too many emotions, unresolved emotions, too many memories, too many traumas. It feels very difficult to be fully embodied. So you don't want to be there. You check out. And these are people that are always in hypnosis. A lot of times they have a lot of illnesses, aches and pains. They pick up diseases or flus or colds very easily from other people. They have very little emotional boundaries, energetic boundaries amongst family members, friends, partners, you know, in their nucleus. So that's all a result of not embodying, incorporating in the physical body fully. So this is a pretty important aspect of learning how to cultivate your energetic field. Number one, emotional mastery. Number two, learning how to own your space. Okay, so um, the other side of this is what happens when you become body of glass is that when somebody directs an energy at you, um, so for example, if you have a toxic coworker that is always complaining about work, always complaining about drama, creating issues, and they come into the room, and you know, you could just feel them when they come into the room, and they start talking to you and dumping all of that emotional drama on you. Okay. If you're not aware of your space, you're going to take a lot of that on, subconsciously storing it in your space, or you're going to be in a constant state of resistance, which either way, you're taking it on your body. But in the resistance state, you're contracting your poor body. And that's causing you a lot of suffering, physically, emotionally, and mentally. Okay. And you might not be aware of the impact of that. But what will happen is at the end of the day, you'll be completely exhausted. Okay. And this causes immune system to go down. This causes a lack of boundaries and draining of your energy. So we want to learn how to become masters of our fields at all times. And the body of glass essentially is meant to be a protective device. I will give you a couple examples of how to use this and when not to use this. One time I was leaving very late from a group, and it wasn't in the best part of town. There was a little alleyway, and there were two men there that were probably not with the best intention. But as I'm walking down the alley to my car in the dark, there's nobody around, just the two men and me. I started to think, you know, I felt already intuitively that they had interesting intentions. So I immediately grounded myself. Okay. I already ran my energy and broke my karmic contracts through the day. So I already had clear intention of how my day was going to break out energetically. Okay. So that's first number one. Number two, in that moment, I went into body of glass and I went into light body. And it was amazing how when I wasn't in that light body, they directly looked at me. They were intentionally kind of walking around, kind of like saying, hey, hey, you know, trying to start conversation. And when I went into the body of glass, they immediately lost interest and just looked the other way. And I walked to my car safely. Okay. So this is an example of body of glass. Of course, do not put yourself in strange, unnecessary situations. Please understand these are not these take time to cultivate, and most important is that you listen to your intuition. When your intuition tells you something is not good, you need to leave or get out, you need to listen to that, full stop. Okay, but in some cases when we do need some kind of protection, another example is if you go to a party, for example, and there's a person that is an emotional dumping program, you know, they want to A-line straight to you. Why? Because you're an empath and you're very nice, you're very giving, you hold space, but you know, you want to change that dynamic. So you can utilize this technique as well. Okay, and essentially when people of you that are psychic, that can see each other's fields, you will notice and see the fields expanding and contracting in a room. You can see that, you can sense it, you can feel it. Okay, so in this case, if you see someone doing that, you will see them go, boop. It's a body of glass. They go into invisible body. It's a cloaking. Okay, now when not to use this, and here's an example. This gentleman, similar to the story, was driving his bicycle in a very difficult part of town in the southern Africa. And he went into body of glass as he was driving, but he forgot his awareness. He went into hypnosis as he was driving. I don't know if he was enjoying the day, what he was doing, but he wasn't even paying attention to his surroundings anymore, and continued to be in body of glass. And a car was driving and did not see him. Okay, so didn't hurt him or anything, but thankfully, and in this experience. But this is not something that you want to utilize in unconscious states, because you are cloaking yourself. I've also experienced with you know, in situations where you, for example, you are being pulled over, and you have this, you're going to get a ticket. Let's say you were speeding or something, and I have so many clients with these examples every day. And you go into cloaking. You can cloak yourself, and you can also cloak like a car that you're in or space that you're in for safety. Okay, and let me give you this example first. So when they cloaked themselves, they went into their highest vibrational frequency, breaking contracts, karmic contracts, and they were able to allow themselves to get out of this ticket. Okay, so this is just one example, but the thing is that in this matrix, in this world, we operate by the law of karma, cause and effect, very simple, and we also operate by the law of accident. When our vortex field is rotating in a counter creative state for a long time, depression, fear, anxiety, doubt, all of these negative emotions, okay, we begin to come into alignment with accident. Why? Because this is the beauty of the architecture of this existence. When our soul goes into dormant state and we negate that we are infinite potential, it has to try to wake you up in some way or form. So that's why accidents happen, to wake you up. Okay, illnesses, car accidents, tickets, whatever it is, it can be big or small, but all of these things wake you up because we live in a succession of choices, and they all have effects. This all cause and effect. So we have to be very mindful of what we're doing and what the outcome will be of your actions. Many of us do not understand the power that we have as creators, and then we do something, and then we wonder, how did we end up here? And you know, in working with clients every day, I see people that we have to untangle lifetimes of wrong choices. Okay, now let's talk about the word wrong. When I say wrong, I'm not saying there's good and bad. What I mean is that we have a series of lack of loving choices towards ourselves, betraying ourselves. We make choices that, even though our intuition tells us don't do that, we still do it anyway. And then we end up, let's say, in uncomfortable relationships. We end up having entire families and lifetimes in these families, and creating suffering, perpetuating suffering for all the members. Okay, so this is a way of being, and this is how we get entangled into the matrix for lifetimes, lifetimes and lifetimes. We continue to reincarnate in these unconscious states of existence. Okay, so for those of you that are contactees, these techniques, all of us have to be contactees. I want to make sure I make that very clear, because we are all learning how to navigate and master interdimensional levels. That's what we're here to do, and that's what dream time is for. But essentially, we need to learn how to use these cloaking techniques also when we leave the body. Okay, so when you're in dream state and you're leaving the body, and you begin to encounter your shadow aspects that manifest in the dimensional realm, in which you are meeting really dark aspects of yourself, we need to learn how to navigate those first with discernment, and then learn how to shift frequencies immediately. And love, unconditional love, is the most powerful. Now, I want to make sure I make this clear. When we go into the light body, what is the light? The light is the white light that you are, is the entire spectrum of the rainbow. So all ranges of frequency from low to high, which means it's unconditional, all encompassing. So embodying the body of light is embodying the true unconditional love. Embodying the body of light is the 0 point, the state of non-judgment. You enter into a state of the center of the tornado, okay, where things begin to move in a different way. This is the 0 point, and from this neutral point emerges unconditional love, which is not romantic love. Make sure you don't make that confusion. The emotions that are felt in romantic love are the little steps that enter into the training of unconditional love. But unconditional love is a complete state of existence that is absolute acceptance of the self, acknowledgement, unconditional love, lovingness to the self, compassion, number one, compassion of the self, because it takes a great maturity to be compassionate. It takes courage to be compassionate. Okay, and those are things that we learn how to do. Liza says, I have used it in numerous occasions with my narcissistic ex-partner, especially when we were court over custody matters. It was very helpful. Awesome, Liza. Yes, a great example. So this is where Myra says, I have dove myself inside my car before. So this is where we begin to enter into this kind of Jedi kind of training of existing. Okay, I was just talking to my friend about this yesterday, about how some of these Star Wars films are so beautiful because they talk about the battle of light and dark, and they talk about the Jedi, you know, which they're looking for a specific Jedi, but in reality, those are cultivated. You see how the person has to go into meditation, they have to train energy. You see them doing some kind of martial art. They are also learning how to do Qigong energy techniques to cultivate energy. That's what it is. When you cultivate your life force, you activate your higher faculties. That's not a fantasy. These are things that many people that have cultivated in their life for centuries are the ones that pass down this information through the generations. And we have that in our DNA, and it's becoming conscious now. It's waking up at this point because the veils are thinning collectively for many of us to begin to access this understanding. Okay. Shonda says, I cloaked myself as a kid in class so the teacher wouldn't call on me. Oh, well, there you go. That's also a way of using that. Yeah, so just remember that there's a cause and effect to everything that we do, even when we're doing it, these little techniques, okay? So make sure that we're always using that in a loving way. So, John, I hope that answered your question. Let me know if you have any follow-up questions or anyone else has any follow-up questions about that.
That was perfect. Thank you, Geraldine. That was awesome because I've done it similar stuff in the past, especially when my wife and I were dating years ago. You know, she could feel me. She thought I was following her because she did something, or she was doing something. You know, it wasn't fair to me behind my back. Like we were in another country, she was in another country and I was here, so I was able to transfer myself 8 hours apart, 8, 9 hours apart time wise, you know.
Wow.
Yeah. So, she was talking shit, I mean, so, but
Okay.
I do it all the time when I work, with the police, vandals, so my car is not, destroyed by vandals or police. I don't get pulled over or accidents.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. I hear this every day from my clients as well. Now, something that's interesting, this goes into a much deeper conversation about, first of all, how do we end up in these places to begin with? Okay. And in our world, we live in cities, cities, hoping to change that soon. But living in these cities, we cannot control the many variables that are surrounding us at every time. So that's why we need to learn how to master and become the vortex of magnetic attraction to people, places, and things that are in alignment with us. But more importantly, you create your reality wherever you are. And that's why these tools are so important. Myra says, I learned how to cloak myself in my car in a lucid dream. Oh, interesting. Very, very cool. You see, when I learned this information, I also felt like I had been doing it all my life in different situations. So what does that tell us? That we have this information encoded in our DNA and we are accessing that information. Okay. So Maria says, I got the ticket yesterday. I wish I used this technique. I'm sorry, Maria. All right. So Corey Hanna says, much blessings to you, Geraldine, beautiful energy. Thank you very much. Shaq says, can the body of glass technique also make you into a beacon to other beings that can see electromagnetic frequencies? Okay, this is a fantastic question. Body of glass, because you are going into your body of light, you are a high vibrational frequency, and you won't really be attracting like weird energies or anything like that. The technique that does allow you to access higher frequency beings is when you open and close your chakra system. Okay, this is a whole other thing, and the reason why is because you're working on the lower densities of the body. So we were talking about density. I had the question about density and dimensions. Okay, so in the way that I see densities and dimensions, densities have to do with the weight of the frequency, okay, that you're holding. Dimensions are the planes in which these densities express themselves. And there can be, and density is just the weight of a frequency, okay? Or I should say the speed perhaps of a frequency. So every density has a certain range of frequencies. Just like in the human realm, the humans can see rainbow spectrum. We can only see certain colors with our eyes. We can process certain frequencies through the body. But when we activate higher frequencies, we can activate even higher things, like mediums can connect with out of body beings. So these are completely other frequencies that, unless you cultivate them, you otherwise would not be able to tune into. So when you are working with your entire body to access this new information, this new focus energetically, you're closing the root chakra. The root, the sacral, and the solar is the expression of your terrestrial DNA. Okay? This is very important. Your terrestrial DNA is all of the lineages, the cocktail of DNA that you have been since the origin of the conception of humanity in this timeline, in this human race. You are a descendant of these lines. And if you weren't, you wouldn't be in the physical body. Okay, so we have a lot of those. And so what happens is that how you have constructed your entire life, because remember that our life experiences are not by chance at all. We design this entire lifetime by just the fact that we incarnated in the families that we incarnate. We immediately define the kind of life that we're going to have. We define the challenges, the supportive techniques, the the value systems that we have, and the wonderful tools that we have in our life. Okay, so we need to understand how valuable we are, each one of you. You are a vibrational signature with unique information. So this means that your entire life has some kind of purpose and meaning. Okay, and I don't want to romanticize the concept of purpose, because sometimes people say, oh my God, I'm not doing my purpose, I'm only doing this. But purpose has to do with the journey that you take in the alchemization of your emotional process through your life. That is the purpose. How you use life force. That is the number one. From there, you can make up all kinds of purposes, and you can give yourself personalities and names, whatever you want. But the base core of the human experience is to experience through these kinds of energy life force exchanges. That's what it is. And that behavior, all of those actions are encoded in the DNA. They are the ones that are going to be passed down through the mitochondria to your next generations. If you choose to have children, these are passed down. So everything you do in this life is incredibly important, that will affect the next generation and the collective as a whole. So essentially, when we're working with these chakra system of the root, the sacral, the solar, and we shrink it, we begin to fine tune the frequency that we're holding in the body. When the root is out of balance, and most of you, if the emotions that you come into through the week are like fear, anxiety, resistance, doubt, insecurities, or any of those emotions, these are wide open and out of balance. Okay, so when you close them, you're immediately shifting your frequency. So 1 minute you're going like this, your entire frequency. Next minute you start going like this. So that major shift in frequency opens you up, obviously, to other octaves of information. So that's why I always tell you not to run energy or not to close these chakras when you're outside, especially in a city or in a busy place or in heavy places, especially cemeteries or old houses, because especially because that is how you train your intuition. You train your intuition by using these. Okay, so when you close this, you're immediately opening this opens. Okay, because the body, it's a natural mechanism, you can say survival mechanism, higher intelligence for the body. When the body doesn't have the senses of the physical open, it has to open the next potential tool, and that's the intuition. Okay, so you open your heart, your throat, and your third eye, and your frequency has completely changed into a higher frequency. So here you will begin, because you've opened your intuition to see and sense things. Okay, you will begin to recognize that, in your room, you're not alone. You're surrounded by life forms and frequency and energy in many forms, many things, many timelines that are simultaneous in your space. There have been meditations that when I visit old lands, like for example, Arizona, Sedona, things like these, in one little place that you're in, you can revisit many lifetimes that are connected to the land. This is how people do grid work, energy work, healing work. And energy distributes itself in the earth depending on what needs to be healed intelligently. Okay, so those of you that are intuitive can tune into that. So yeah, so you just need to learn. And again, when you open yourself up, there's nothing to be afraid of. Even if you encounter some dark being or some dark aspect of yourself, you must meet it confidently, connect with it, use your discernment, your seventh and eighth, remember, because the DNA of the chakra is expressed to manage the physical from the first three, but the seventh and the eighth are the ones that access the DNA of the entire earth. Okay, this is the DNA of your ancestral lineage. The DNA of the earth is seventh and eighth. Okay, so when you activate these, now you start to look at ancestors. You start to look at disembodied souls that are trapped in between, souls that couldn't detach from the physical, that have become deeply entangled. Ghost beings are all living within these realms, and they are all fractals of our lower selves, because remember, we are one organism. So use your crown to shine your light on whatever you encounter, and you're going to see a contract. The contract, if it's small, remember, your agreement is very small, very limited. It might not be in your best interest. So all you have to do, dissolve the contract and neutralize the energetic exchange between you and let the being be. It will not interfere with you. It will dissolve from your space. Okay. And if it's a big contract, you have some work to do. So don't come into fear, because big contracts mean that both of you, light conscious beings, have chosen to interact in some way together. So you need to use that opportunity. It's an opportunity for expansion, for growth. Okay. And the way that you experience that will 100% depend on you. There is no such thing as a victimization in any of these realms because of the nature of your abilities to manifest. It is a physics. It is a physics that must be cultivated. And that's actually what I wanted to talk about today. So I'm going to jump into that conversation now, and I will come back to questions in just a minute. Okay. So I want to share with you a very beautiful, beautiful book that I invite you to read if you can. It's called Living Energies, okay, by Calum Coates. And I mean, this book is like ecstasy to me, because it is exactly everything that, I see in the realm, that I work with, that I try to explain. This being, this person, uh, Victor Schauberger, he saw things and he discovered it scientifically by observing water, how water moves. Okay. So when water goes into a spiral form, it begins to, like, if you're dumping a bottle of water, for example, and you just dump it over like this, it takes a long time because the water has to leave the bottle. But when you spin it, it leaves really quickly. Okay. So what is that simple experiment showing us is that when we spin, our vibrational frequency rises. And there are many laws to this universe that are so divine that we need to utilize by looking at nature, how our physical bodies function. Our bodies, when we move our vortex in a fast way, we can move and heal the body. We can access a higher dimensional frequency. Harmony and resonance are the prerequisites to creation of form. For growth and development, lower stages of harmony in the form of lesser individualities, providing the firm and stable substructures upon which higher structures are built. Okay, is that clear? Energy is the cause, form is the effect. Okay, I just wanted to say that one thing. Okay, energy is the cause and form is the effect. What does that mean? We literally, in order to create and manifest in this realm, the intention is the first thing that is the primary propulsion of creation into this realm. Your intention behind what you do, your intention behind what you're thinking, what you're feeling, what you're doing is the thing. And the result of that is going to be a form. Remember. So if, for example, there is an intention to love something, the idea, we think we're going to love something, but subconsciously there's self-doubt, there's fear, there's some other emotions. What you give out, the wave of what you express, is going to be encoded with these subconscious belief systems. And the wave creates a form, the thought form, that then imprints as a message into the receiver, the person that is receiving from you or from the universe, which is what you are manifesting into the world. So this is really important for us to understand, because our entire physical body is a system, is a generator of creation. Let me open up some images here that I want to share with you. When you embody in the physical body, harmony, and order, we begin to spin the vortex. Remember the yin and yang, okay? The yin and yang, this simple symbol, is essentially helping us to understand that when we balance the duality within, the light and the dark, then we can begin to spin. But without that clearing of those blockages, we essentially cannot. I wish I could close this. Okay. And so I have a question. Somebody is asking, in which direction do we spin? So the spinning direction of how we move has to do with your subconscious belief system. When you are in a state of depression and fear and anxiety, your vortex is spinning at a lower state. Okay, let's look at this again. You become a centrifugal movement. Energy is being expelled, leaked out of your body, just like I mentioned a minute ago. When we are unaware of our physical bodies, when we are in an unconscious hypnosis state, we create circumstances and we do things that drain our energy because we're not conscious, we're not owning our space. Okay, so for example, negative person comes, talk about negative day, all that negative energy because we don't know how to hold our space. Okay, so let me clarify. What does it mean to hold your space? In this scenario, what it means is that as soon as you become emotionally invested in what they're telling you, unconsciously, right? This person might have had something horrible happen to them, but it's not your problem. It's not your situation. But because you're an empath, because you are loving, because maybe trauma, you have always learned to be a supportive person for others without taking care of your emotional and energetic sustenance, then immediately you become a sponge. We are sponges all the time. Okay, but you become more of a sponge because you, with your consent, you allow yourself to take on this information from the other person. And how you take it on is by judging what's being said. Okay, the immediate moment that you start to judge what is being said, you're going through a process here. Your brain system, it's processing and categorizing information. Your biochemical system is assessing chemically whether you're safe or not. And the brain and the body doesn't know if the information it's hearing, it's you or it's the other person that's experiencing this information. Your body will go into protection. So you will start to feel the same emotions. The sadness, the sorrow, the depression will go into your body. What's happening immediately? They brought you into your resonance. You come into resonance with this sorrow. So look at how your energy depletes from your body. Okay, a person that is in constant state of this centrifugal movement of bleeding their own life force out of their body is breaking their energetic field. Let me see if I can find this image here. Hopefully, oh yeah, right here. Okay, so we look like this, right? So right here, look, these are great examples. Withdrawal, people that are in withdrawal. Remember I told you the wallflower, the one that doesn't want to be in the body, right? So what happens? They're like, oh, take me away. I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. So all their energy is depleted out of the body. Who's taking care of the body in the meantime? Who's protecting this physical body, which functions naturally as a sponge? Because you're a vortex. You are a vortex. You have to remember. Vortexes either absorb or release. Okay. Verbal denial, right? You are just at war with yourself. There is the mental process of processing data information becomes conflicted in the body. You create disruption in your field. Look, this is what I was expressing to you. I was just giving you this example, the hook and the mental grasp. Somebody shares with you information, you become identified. Again, we become identified. That's the key. The key is that you become identified to the point where you lose yourself. So when you lose yourself, there's no power over yourself anymore. Look how your energy is being drained. And the thing about the other person that has a negative day, you know, they are also in tremendous suffering because they become a parasitic. They go into parasitic dynamics of expression. They forgot that they are infinite potential. They forgot that they have power over their life and their circumstances, and they just become a constant bleeding of their own life force, where they have to seek external for to be fed, to be nourished. So this is how the three-dimensional plane functions in the three-dimensional plane. The same laws of exchange are functioning for higher dimensional beings that we interact with, the ETs, so to speak, the interdimensionals. I call them interdimensionals. I don't think they're extraterrestrials. I think they're interdimensionals. And so these interdimensional beings that we interact with are all part of this matrix, even up until these 13-dimensional layers. Somewhere between 12, 13, they are still playing by these dualistic exchange laws. So we have to learn discernment, okay? We have to understand how to maintain the boundaries. So essentially, the vortex of our body becomes totally out of balance here. Hysteria, look at how disruptive the field looks, okay? Boundary containment. Well, there you go. So someone that holds their space closes their energetic field. Okay. So we need to learn how to expand and contract our energetic field in order to learn how to spin our energy. If you're in survival, your red chakra is wide open. Your vortex is spinning in a certain direction. When you're in alignment, holding your space, your intuitive body, the purple, the blue, the green, your heart, your throat, your third eye is expanded. You are activating your higher faculties. Your entire body is oscillating at a completely higher frequency. We do this. There is no one else external that will do this for you. You have to do this. You might go to a healing session with someone and you might, by resonance, shift your frequency. But the problem is that it won't last if you don't know how to hold that frequency. So this is why I tell you that you are your own healer, always. You are the one that can sustain and create your reality. Okay, so now let's talk about, again, how the cycles, how the spinning function works. Remember, feminine and masculine energy. The feminine is the receiver. Remember, we have a womb. The divine feminine takes the semen from the men in order to create life. We are the receiver, okay? So the masculine is the giver, okay? So these are two forms. These dualistic movements of energy are seen in all nature, in order to create all life. The human body, when they come into balance, they begin to move in this centripetal movement. Why? Because it's a function of creation, of receiving. When there is the integration between the masculine and the feminine, they create the 0 point. See that dot in the middle? That's the center point of creation. Let's say this is the feminine, this is the masculine. They unite. We're talking about your internal observations, perspectives. Okay, the feminine is the intuition, the masculine is the action. When we integrate our intuition with our action, now we have become integrated in the physical body. When you connect your intuition and your action, you begin to birth the third. Who is the third? The third is that Christic consciousness. It is the Christ, which they have said in many religions, but we're not talking about the religion. We're talking about the concept of the Christic consciousness. What happens when this pineal gland activates into its alchemical highest state? It now becomes this Jesus-like, this ascended master that transcends and can have mastery over the physical. That's what happens here when you become the centripetal movement. You have now become a magnetic system, the implosion that is created through the life force that is cultivated. Okay. And every cell of your body takes on this movement of magnetic energy. You become this piezoelectric system of ignition. Your light turns on. You become the light body. And through the organization of all the confusion and amnesia of the matrix filtration system that we go through this experience of life, you begin to dissolve it in order to embody the higher octave self. Okay, so that is essentially what I'm explaining here, and this is very important information, because when you also begin to work at this higher octave of frequency, you are also beginning to align with nature. Okay, and you are moving in alignment with, you're going to get downloads, you're going to get you know uh, information that helps you navigate this human experience individually and collectively. This is how we have people that are intuitive, that bring messages of things that are going to happen to humanity, but that's not our focus. But it's important for you as an individual to be able to access that information, for a higher way of navigation, not survival, but it is the communion of creation that you embody. And you begin to access, like I mentioned, you're moving through these higher octaves collectively. So your higher chakra systems are also becoming active. So just imagine, when you're here in the lower band waves of frequency, you're operating by root sacral solar. Okay. When you start to activate higher frequency, you're beginning to access now higher dimensional aspects of yourself, higher layers of your body. Okay. So I'm going to stop right there. And in today's meditation, we're going to go into the process of activating this multidimensional body together. And then I will answer some questions. All right, let's go ahead and inhale deeply. And exhale. Breathing. Every breath you take, as you allow yourself to come into a state of complete relaxation, complete calm. Breathing deeply now as you allow yourself to completely let go of all the thoughts, resistance, fears, anxieties, even expectations out of the body. Breathing deeply. Should it come to your center, bring yourself back, bring all yourself backs, all your selves back into the body now. Any thoughts of the future, thoughts of the past, bring into the present moment. Breathing. I want you to allow yourself to come into a state of absolute stillness, in as much stillness as you can. As you come into the stillness, compassionately begin to listen to your body. Notice how the muscles have contracted, the nervous system is heightened in a state of survival or protection. Gently allow yourself to come into a completely expanded state where there is no contraction in this body. And as you sit here, quieting your mind deeper and deeper now, every moment, quieting your mind. There will be one emotion that is the strongest in your body, that's the hardest to shake, hardest to let go. This is the emotion that is being called to be addressed at this time in your body. Sometimes it's going to feel more like a discomfort in the body. Sometimes it's going to feel like just aching bones or just discomfort sitting there or just anxiety or tension. That is the emotion that you need to communicate with. Allow yourself to sit absolutely still, observing the discomfort that is in the body. The more you observe it, allow yourself to observe it until its resistance is broken, and it will expand. You're going to continue to do that with all the uncomfortable parts of your body, the parts of your body that feel uncomfortable or are resistant. You don't realize how much your body is speaking to you through these contractions. Go into your abdomen, making sure all of the tension in the abdomen muscles are completely released. And if there's anything tight, I want you to observe it. Observe it very carefully until you release. And when you observe, you're not judging. You're not even applying meaning. You are sensing and feeling and knowing the emotions that are trapped there through the discomfort. You are creating a language for the discomfort, and the language is emotion. Everything you release, you're acknowledging layers and layers of information that are trapped in the body unconsciously and subconsciously. And little by little, you will feel your body coming more and more into a state of complete relaxation and expansion. Okay, go ahead and anchor yourself down to the center of the earth now. You're going to pull up a powerful wave of green light coming up into the body, creating a vortex of energy. Imagine the potency of a forest filled with life force, with fresh oxygen entering the body, healing, restoring, rejuvenating, cleansing. You're going to see from source bring down a powerful wave of golden light. Allow this cosmic energy to surround the body, combining with the earth energy all around you. These two natural energies begin to move around the body. We are made of these natural energies. So when we pull them into the body, they clear and neutralize and bring ourselves back into our natural form, into our natural state of alignment. The matrix is the additional illusion that is created for temporary experience. But these two forces are never changed. They are never tainted. They are pure life force from which truth emerges. So as you allow every cell of your body to begin to merge with this life force, allowing yourself to come into your greatest truth, into your purest truth, go ahead and send 10% of that back down to the center of the earth. You're going to take 80% of that up your spine from the crown of your head, coating the outside of your body. Use your breathing to create intention and power behind the movement of your energy. Take that final 10% and bring it into the body now, absorbing into the pores, the flesh, the muscles, the bones, down to the cellular level of the body. Breathing. As you allow yourself to absorb this energy, visualize yourself becoming nurtured. Yourself is being healed, restored, loved, deeply, deeply loved, deeply loved. The universe loves you. The world loves you. All the people in the world love you. You love you. So as you begin to change resonance of every cell of your body into love, notice any part of your body that resists absorbing this love. Breathing into those parts of the body. I want you to sit here absorbing this love, this energy of cosmic and earth energy into your body, because that is love. It's pure creative life force. Breathing. I want you to see your crown. Go ahead and shrink the first, second, and third chakra. Open the heart. Open the throat. Open the third eye. Activate the seventh and the eighth. What is your highest vibrational frequency? Go ahead and enter it into the seventh. Go ahead and begin to see your body in this space. And I want you to see your toes and just imagine that your toes are becoming invisible. Your feet are becoming invisible. All that's there is perhaps the floor underneath you or the chair underneath you if you're sitting down. Just imagine that the space that you're in is going to become empty of your physical body. Going up into the ankles, they become invisible. The shins, the calves, the knees. Going up into the thighs, going up into the hips, going into the perineum, all of the internal organs becoming visible. Physical body into the lower back. The solar plexus becomes invisible. Your chest becomes invisible. Your front and back of your chest invisible. Your neck, your shoulders, your arms, your hands. Your throat, your head, your face, your hair, the crown of your head. Okay, so I want you to sit here for a moment, observing how it feels to be invisible in the chair that you're sitting or wherever you're sitting. Imagine what the room would look like if you were not there. Use your mind to remote view the room empty without your physical body. And then shift your perspective back to this inner eyesight that you have as you begin to ignite your light. Just look at your soul, your light. What does it look like? Just observe your light. Continue to keep your vision of your physical body completely invisible. All that exists is a light floating. There is no physical attachment to this light. You are just pure light. You'll notice that any aches and pains in the body have diminished. I want you to look down at your body and notice where you sense any heat or where you feel any stagnation in this empty body of light. If you feel that you can see blockages in this body of glass, begin to visualize an imaginary hand coming in and pulling out those blockages out of the hand, out of the body. As you allow yourself to clear this body of glass from all of the debris that you're now able to see, little by little, the body will feel lighter and lighter. This is a very powerful healing technique. So allow yourself everywhere where you see that there are still heavy masses rather than physical, you're going to grab your invisible hand and pull from the invisible body all heavy substances of energy that are blocked in this light body. The body will feel even lighter now, even lighter. You're not looking for anyone's reaction. You're not looking for any kind of engagement in this state. You are in absolute neutrality. You are in 0 point. Your focus is on maintaining your light. And as you practice, you'll be able to walk around holding this imagery, this light. All that will be an outline of very, very, very thin energy, your light body. And you can expand your light as big or as small as you want. The bigger you are, the more potent. Without interfering with anything external. Very good. Go ahead and close and visualize your physical body now. You're going to go up to the crown, 7th and 8th, and you're going to begin to see a room filled with karmic contracts. I want you to shine your light on top of those karmic contracts and eliminate all of those contracts. You can imagine vacuuming them. You can imagine them evaporating. You can imagine burning them with a laser from your crown. Whatever feels real to you, utilize that easy visual to clear the room as simply as you can. Go ahead and fill that space with your creative color. You're going to see another room with shadows of people that don't have your best interest. Go ahead and visualize shining your light on top and just imagine clearing that room completely. Okay. Very good. So go ahead and open the root chakra. Open the sacral back into a balanced state. The solar, the heart, the throat, the third eye. Go ahead and visualize activating the 9th, the 10th, the 11th, the 12th, the 13th. Go ahead and bring that white light down to your body, pillar of white light down to the center core and into the center of the earth. Go ahead and visualize the center pole that moves through the center of your body, going out through the front and out through the back around the perimeter of the earth, anchoring you in the axis of this planet. Okay. Allow yourself to visualize white light moving in through these access points, clearing out through the perineum into the center of the earth. I want you to bring yourself back into the room and open your eyes. And welcome back. You guys did amazing. I want to thank you so much for joining me today. As always, it's been a profound honor to be here with you and to share this wisdom and information. And if you guys have any questions, put it in the chat. I'm going to take a couple more questions here very quickly. Can we use this technique for our children? Yes, you can. And I do need to teach you how to do that. But we can protect our children and we can protect others, and we can also heal others, intentionally bringing source light into the space, not through our body, but from source, by learning how to use our field. Okay, so the child creates a bubble around them, we create a bubble around us, and then we create a third bubble around the whole both. Okay. And here we can create the cloaking mechanism of coming into body of glass as well. But in most cases, I want to remind you the law of free will, which means that you cannot do healing on people that do not consent. You cannot do energy work on people who do not consent either. Otherwise, it is an inversion of nature and it has adverse effects. So I want you, not only for the other person, but for you. Okay, usually extremely depleting, and usually people end up sick because they're using their energy in a way that isn't welcome by the other. It's the ego that is using energy, not the soul. So that always has repercussions. So make sure you understand that every time you do healing on someone, that you are asking for permission, and you are collaboratively working consciously together to hold light and space. Okay. During my meditation, my pillar of light and grounding cord invariably pulls to the left. Is there a reason for this? Yeah, so anytime that our poles are moving out of the body, it's telling us where we have a deficiency of energy. So if you're moving to the left, it means that the left side of our body, which is the feminine, is weakened and not reinforced. So I invite you to fully repair the 13 layers of the left side of your body, practicing energetic hygiene in these 13 layers, clearing out the debris first, closing any tears and openings in the 13 layers. And that will begin to replenish the life force in that part of the body. But you also have to support that with psychological healing as well from the feminine perspective of yourself. Okay, so that has to be addressed in order for you to fully heal that part of your body. Okay, so once you do this, you'll notice that your energetic body will come back into balance, into a harmonious structure. Okay. Can you tell me more about the eighth dimension when we get to density? So the eighth dimensional layer is essentially the DNA of the earth, and it is where the Akashic records are connecting the physical to the non-physical realms. The eighth dimensional plane is usually where we have more of the primal, intergalactic, interdimensional beings of the earth, earth and star people, that are interdimensional in that eighth dimensional plane. Okay. So I guess I have to explain a lot more about that because there's way more. But for now, I will leave it there and we'll talk more about that next week. Once after experiencing a high vibration ceremony in Glastonbury, the US custom guise was taken back by me. He said, "Welcome back to the planet. Welcome back to reality." Oh, that's cool. Does customs have device to read our frequencies? Those devices that are used in custom are not very good for the physical body. So I usually advise people to try to get some kind of pre-check, or to try to, you can always ask for a pat down instead of using those devices, because they do take your field out of balance, because they're highly destructive movements of photonic energy that really disrupts your energetic field. So sometimes they cause free radicals in the body, which can cause cancer. Remember, chaos. When things are not in order, it causes chaos, free radicals, that create illness in the body. We want to always try to maintain health in the body. Yeah, so all right, my love. So that is it. Let's see. One last question. Alien Gift says, when you expand your light, how do you keep it from becoming contaminated? So contamination only is allowed if you contaminate yourself. Okay. What does that mean? The moment you apply meaning that something is negative, you are taking it into your space as that, and all the parts of you that are in resonance with that potential negative thing come into play. So you entangle yourself. So in order to, we never become contaminated, because every experience in this universe is an opportunity for expansion. So what we need to do as conscious co-creators is to understand that we have the power of transmuting experiences from its lowest form. We alchemize from the lowest into the highest octave of that experience. You always have the ability of changing it. And I can give you millions of examples how I have done this practically in my life, and how you can do it too, simply by shifting your perspective and how you judge things. The more you come into a state of non-judgment, you will more easily be able to discern experiences and how to respond to them, rather than reacting from the primal survival mechanisms of yourself, which will always end up in contamination, if that is the word we want to use. We will end up in this kind of messy energy, because when we are fearful, we are only seeing things through a very limited perspective. There is a wide range of ways of experiencing things, and we want to be all and nothing. We want to be able to experience things in many different ways. So the more we begin to expand our perception and be able to fluidly move through these, it'll be easier for us to navigate them. Adam says, if higher states are cultivated through practice, how do you determine if a partner's expression of deep love is enough to cultivate the optimum frequency for mutual evolution? Is love enough? So when it comes to partners, how do you determine a partner's expression of deep love is enough to cultivate optimum frequency for mutual evolution? Okay, so first of all, partnerships aren't really about mutual evolution in a sense where we would have to depend on both. Okay, actually, remember that most relationships don't work because people are halfway whole. They are desiring something external. They are wanting to feel love with someone else or from someone else. When a partner comes from a lack deficiency, anytime they get into any partnership, there will always be the dance between karmic and cause and effect that cause suffering and emptiness and feelings of disconnect. So when we seek for a partner, we want to be our full source of our love. We have to be the proactive creator, co-creator of that evolution that we're seeking. Okay. If we are not the optimum creator of our highest potential and our highest evolution, chances are that actually when you get into a partnership, you're going to go in the opposite direction, because relationships are designed for experience, for breaking higher octave patterns. Let's say you did all of your ancestral healing work, you get with a partner, both of you come into resonance because there are still things that you have to overcome. And that's the challenge, and the most powerful thing about relationships is that, you know, that's what they're for. I mean, you can hold your space by yourself, but can you hold your space in a relationship? That's the question. Can you embody unconditional love in a relationship? And that is one of the most highest forms of mastery in this world. So when we talk about cultivating a higher evolution, both partners have to be really proactively working on healing their stuff in order to be able to hold that space. Otherwise, you will always fall back into either repetitive dating patterns, which are passed down through family, or karmic or collective, and you're going to keep creating suffering for each other. So it's not about love. It's not. So love towards the other person isn't enough. It has to be love for the self, profound, unconditional love for the self, in order to be able to hold space. And both of you then become healers and teachers, and, you know, hold space for one another. That's actually the higher octave of the relationship, and initiate relationship kind of thing. Okay. And then, of course, there's the entire sexual dynamics, which are really, really important in relationships energetically as well. And those really do come naturally as a result of these two higher, you know, developing organisms. All right, my loves, I love you so much. Thank you so much for joining me. Let's see, hold on, one more question here. I was watching Dolores Cannon. She said that having children creates karma. Is that true, and why? Oh my God, major question. That's a big question. I'm going to answer that question next time. And we'll talk really in depth about it, because it's very, very complex. And I want to be careful about how I express that. Okay, just to make sure we're clear, because it's not that simple. There's a lot to that, and there's two sides to everything. So we want to understand both of them. Okay, guys, have an amazing week. I love you, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.